professor. Bom dia a todos. Meu nome é Francisco Brito. Estou tendo o enorme prazer fui convidado pela Belas Artes para abrir, né, o Fórum de Economia Criativa, que começa hoje e começa muito bem, né, com o querido professor John Howkins. Okay? Good morning, professor. How are you today?
Good morning to you. I'm very well. Very happy to be talking with you.
Great. It's a pleasure to have you with us. Thank you for your time. I know how difficult it is to manage your agenda, but I will give a brief introduction about you, and then you can run your speech just after this, okay?
Perfect. Thank you. Sounds good.
Então, pessoal, a gente hoje tem uma data importante aí, né? Porque nós estamos fazendo o 10º ano de Fórum de Economia Criativa. O professor esteve no primeiro, foi o grande personagem do primeiro, está sendo o grande personagem desse 10º ano. O professor John Howkins, ele é um renomado autor e pesquisador britânico, acho que muita gente sabe disso, amplamente reconhecido pelo seu trabalho pioneiro, é tido inclusive como um dos pais da economia criativa. Atualmente ele é professor convidado na Lincoln University, no Reino Unido, na Shanghai School of Creative e na Shanghai Theatre Academy, na China. Ele colabora intensamente no desenvolvimento das políticas e práticas voltadas à inovação em todos esses países. Ele é formado em planejamento urbano e em relações internacionais. E entre diversos livros que ele tem de destaque, tem o The Creative Economy, How People Make Money from Ideas. Bom, vou passar a palavra então. Professor, the microphone is yours.
Thank you very much for that introduction. How to make money from ideas. That's what's been puzzling me for some time. But I want to start by just saying how wonderful it is for me to be taking part in this 100th anniversary. And I want to thank Belas Artes, and in particular, I want to thank the Kardim family, and particularly Patricia Kardim, who have provided such imaginative leadership over the years, over many, many years. And I want to congratulate them and say how happy I am to be part of this continuing journey. What's been heading my interest over the last year is the question of AI, like it is for many other people. And in particular, one question, which is, can AI be creative? Can a machine be creative? Can computation, coded computation, be creative? And I realized very quickly that I couldn't answer that question until I had answered another question, which is just as difficult, which is, what is creativity?
It's 1 million. It's a question of $1 million, no?
It's the $1 billion question.
$1 billion. Yeah, it's true.
What is creativity? And we've always avoided. I personally have always avoided that question, although we are now beginning to understand what it is, it's not what we thought it was. And what we're learning is the importance first of motivation. The people who are creative, who get up in the morning, and immediately their brain starts to think about their creative spirit, their talent. So there's motivation there. We want to do something, and we want to do something that is interesting to us, and we think other people might be interested in it. It could be more beautiful. It could be a different color. It could be a different text. It could be more useful. It could be cheaper. It could be faster. It could be more efficient. It's something that we think the world would be better if we did this thing, if we had this idea and put it out there. And I now have about 2 or 3 criteria. One is that creativity has to be additive. We are giving something to the world. maybe maybe a little thing, but we are giving something to the world. We believe, and this may sound arrogant, it isn't arrogant, we believe that the world will be a better place if we do this, if we write this, if we draw this, if we imagine this and do something about it, the world will be a better place. And if we're lucky, it will be transformative. It
Right.
will change the way that people see the world. And that's a very important part of it. And that's only something that humans can do. Creativity shows what humans can do. And I'm interested in other people's creativity because it shows they're human and it shows what humanity can do. And then underneath this may sound rather grand, but underneath it, as well as the phrase that I've repeated already, which is how to make money out of ideas. I have a 4-word motto, which is have fun and make money. Because essentially, although creativity is very hard work, it's difficult. It can be very lonely. We're driven to do it, but we do it because it's immensely rewarding. Have fun, make money. That's my short motto every morning. So how do we do this? How do we do this? And I want to suggest five sort of principles or factors that will enable us to express our creative selves and to be creative. The first that I've referred to already is only do what you're really interested in and which catches your interest. You may be alone in this thing that is fascinating to you. You may change your mind as the years go by. I've changed my mind a lot about what I'm interested in. I keep on changing my mind about what I'm interested in. And it's if I'm not interested in something, I don't do it, whatever other people say. So something that's really interesting to you and something that only you feel that only you can do. Only you can do. There's an American band called the Grateful Dead, which I became involved with many years ago. And the lead guitarist, Jerry Garcia, had a difficult life, let's say. He had a troubled life. He was in and out of jail. He was difficult life. And then at one moment, he picked up a guitar that was lying around and began to play. And after a bit, a friend of his said, "Jerry, you're really good. You could be one of the best." And Jerry Garcia said, I don't want to be one of the best. I want to do something that only I can do. And that feeling that you do something that is very deeply personal to you and that you can translate into some creative enterprise, that is the heart of creativity, it seems to me. So do something that only you can do. Work with people that you like, because creativity is all about working with people, and you've got to work with people that you like and people that you want to see the next day, that you enjoy being around them, and work with people who are better than you, because that's the only way to learn. I mean, if you can, it can be difficult, but actually, once you get the knack of working with people that are better than you, then it's like a wave that rises up and carries you forward. So do something that really interests you and find out how to do that better. The second factor, I think, is learning. Learn. If a creative person stops learning, they stop being creative, actually. And in fact, if that's what they've done all their lives and they stop learning, then they stop creating and they die. Their spirit dies. And part of the joy of being at university is this freedom to learn. You may not think this, but people in university are more free at university. They have this extraordinary freedom to learn. And it's really important to use one's freedom through one's life to learn to the full. Given any opportunity, learn about it. Look around. Whatever your media is, if it's visual art, look. If it's music, listen. One of the elements of the new model of creativity is that looking. It's the same for music, listening, or hearing. Looking and perceiving and interpreting what's out there, and then storing it in the brain as a memory. That process is continual, and it is remarkably similar to the creative process. So we look around, we interpret what we see in order to memorize it and lodge it in our minds. And then when we want to have a new creative thought, we go back into our memories and we put something out there for other people to interpret, or possibly us to interpret. Look at the way an artist is continually trying out marks or colors or images. Look at the way a writer considers the next word and writes something down there, says, it's not quite right, and sort of takes it out or qualifies it. So it's that process. And we now know that mathematically, the process can be coded, whereby perception is the mirror image of creation. Creation doesn't start from nowhere, it starts from previous perceptions. And we put stuff out there, which we then look at and we say, no, it could be better. And other people look at too. The third factor is management. This is often not high on the list of priorities of people at university, but managing your ideas, knowing when to get rid of a bad idea, knowing when to follow a good idea, knowing, I can say this, when to fall in love with an idea, and equally not to be seduced by a bad idea. Bad ideas can be terribly seductive, and we have to get rid of those. We have to learn how to manage our idea, and we have to do that also in business terms. I mean, we talk a lot. I talk a lot about intellectual property, particularly copyright, design rights, and trademarks. But what's really important about intellectual property is not the theory or the law, which gives you the rights in the first place, but the contracts in which those rights are embedded and negotiated and bought and sold. And so learning how to negotiate a contract, which is what we all have to do day after day after day. Learning how to negotiate a contract is a critical part of learning how to be a creative artist. I use artist in the widest phrase. Learning how to negotiate, absolutely critical phase. Without that, one will never be comfortable with what one does, because one won't be able to put borders around it or put a price tag on it. Fourth, this comes back to AI. Use AI, use whatever it is, whatever a plugin, an app, whatever it is, a platform specific to your interest, your practice. Use it as a second brain. Learn about the available apps, the plugins. If you like, learn about the general principles of generative AI and the large language models and what they're doing. I find that fascinating. If you do, that's great. There's no need. Learn the apps and the plugins and experiment with which brain functions you want to keep to yourself, either on your own or with other humans, and which brain functions you want to delegate to the AI. So I see AI as I said, second brain. It's personal to you. It's available 24 hours. It's incredibly polite. Even the best teacher is not available 24 hours in the middle of the night. I mean, don't ring up your tutor 24 hours in the middle of the night. Don't ring up your work colleague 24 hours in the middle of the night. Don't do it. AI, fine. Doesn't matter. Very personal, always on, very polite. Use it as a second brain. And I think I'm gonna end by as a sort of fifth factor. Have fun and make money. If it's not fun, you're really not going to enjoy it, but you're also not going to be able to give yourself to it, which you have to in order to use your talent and be creative to the best of your ability. We have to give ourselves. It's hard work. We have to give ourselves to that work, to that practice. I don't want to sound as if I'm recommending a sort of deluge of self-expression, of just someone saying what's in their mind, or writing what's in their mind, or painting what's in their mind. I don't think self-expression is very interesting. Some people see it as a key part of creativity, but it can be, but I prefer the principle that John Cage, the wonderful American composer, I prefer his attitude, which he said, I'm not interested in self-expression. I'm interested in self-alteration. I'm interested in, first of all, in how my creativity changes my view of the world, changes my ability to come up with something that is new and interesting and beautiful. So it's self-alteration is my foundation, if you like, for my creative work. That's what John Cage said, self-alteration, not self-expression, self-alteration. And I think that's true. And if you look at any successful, talented practitioner of these creative arts, then they have a very strong personality because they are developing their personality to develop better work. And through that, their work becomes more interesting. So I think it's a good criterion. I think it's a good criterion, self-alteration. And that is, after all, one of the most enjoyable things of learning, because we are continually learning and developing our ideas. And that way leads, I think, to really outstanding talent and really outstanding creative practice and work that will interest others. And that's, if you like, the ultimate benefit of what I'm talking about. So that's what I have to say as a sort of brief summary where my brain is at the moment. Thank you for listening.
Oh, thanks a lot for this masterclass. It's fantastic. Your concepts are so great. Well, we have here a lot of questions for you, but we don't have time for a lot. Okay, I will do a couple of questions here. Okay.
Sure. Yeah.
Okay, Professor. First will be how can we balance creativity that needs freedom with the pressure of the results and performance in a modern workplace? Can you explain a little bit about this, please?
Yeah, I think this is not a new problem. I mean, I know the modern workplace is a very, very competitive, tough, exhausting place with very long hours, very long working hours now. And the speed of change, this is a major theme of what I'm developing at the moment, the speed of creativity, partly through digital, partly through AI, is getting faster and faster and faster. That is undeniably true. And because AI and digital lowers the cost of entry, more and more people are coming into the marketplace to produce creativity, to be creative. But the freedom to make the sort of work you want to make, that is absolutely non-negotiable. If you lose that, then you're shrinking into the shadows, if you like, and you're falling off the boat, or whatever analogy you want to use. So freedom is non-negotiable. And I think my answer to someone who asked that question, as you have, is that the safety in numbers. I think it's harder and harder to do this sort of stuff on one's own. And if you have good co-workers, partners, colleagues, a team, then you are much quicker and more effective. More perspectives, more input, more output, better output. So absolutely keep your freedom. Do not give up any of that, but strengthen your resources through more people working alongside of you. In the morning, you might be leading. In the afternoon, somebody else might be leading. And keep that going. And I think that is the answer to that question.
Okay, perfect. Thank you. Another question is, from your experience, Professor, what really makes someone shine or win in a creative career now, today?
Sorry, I didn't, there's a break. The question is what someone really need to start a creative career?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. The question is how, specifically, how someone could shine, could win in a creative market.
Again, I think that's been a question for decades and a very long time. I think it's harder now. And again, I come back to this notion of creativity being much faster than it used to be. And so we have to be faster. We have to be quicker on our feet. We have to know what is happening everywhere else. If one is working in a creative practice where one is trying to put one's own perspective, one's own view, one's own work out there, one has to be certain that it is not simply replicating what somebody else is doing. And in the old days, let's say 100 years ago, that was relatively easy because there weren't many people doing this sort of stuff. Now there's lots of people, so it's much more intensive. It's another reason, I think, to work in a place where there's lots of eyes looking around, lots of people listening, media being consumed. But again, I would say the priority all the time is to develop your own creative practice. What other people are doing is an input to what you're doing. With the speed of change that you referred to, it's tougher. You can't do it part-time. You can't do it. It's full-time. It's very, very full-time. When I'm working on a project, a creative project, I really don't think about anything else. And if I'm working when I was working in television, all my friends came from television. When I'm working in film, I'm working in film now more. my friends come from film. It's a very immersive experience, creating something wonderful. And if you're not happy with that, or your personal commitments don't allow that or encourage that to happen easily, it's going to be a problem. It's much harder now to be part-time. It requires much more commitment, and it requires much more energy and much more confidence. It requires a lot of confidence, self-confidence, and a lot of clever thinking. So it's not like it's completely different. It just requires more in those areas than it did before. But, you know, if you look around the world at every sector, incredible work is being done. Amazing work. I was in China last 2 weeks ago, and I went to an amazing new museum that I would say was the equal of any new museum. It was built about 3 years ago. It was so beautiful. The position was stunning. The design, the cladding, the interior design, the entrance points, just stunning. So the work is still being done to an exceptional level, and there's so many opportunities out there. There's so many opportunities.
Okay, thanks. Very, very, very clear. Well, the other question is, we know that a lot of new careers are starting because the AI and other new technologies. As a professor, how do you think that the schools or universities can prepare the young people for the new reality?
That's a good question. It's a very tough question.
Another $1 billion question.
It's another multi-billion-dollar question. Thank you so much for that really charming question you just asked. I think university, I think every educational establishment has got two sort of challenges. They're big challenges. One is how do you assess students' work if the student is using AI, and students are using AI, and faculty are using AI. We're all using AI. So I think there are challenges in the way you assess people. In terms of what the students should do, I mentioned this idea of a second brain, and I think they should familiarize themselves with the AI devices that they have access to. I know some PhD students in design are using AI as a sort of, as I said, a second brain, a sort of a knowledgeable expert that they can throw anything at. They don't have to be polite, and they are polite because that helps the AI to be polite. But you can ask them any question, and regardless of the effort required or the research required, the AI will throw back an answer. And these MA and PhD students are finding it very helpful to come up with a new perspective or to challenge their thinking. So it's a sort of arm-in-arm learning process. There's no intent amongst those students that I've been working with to then take what the AI says and pretend it's their own work. I mean, that really is pointless. I mean, the point of learning is to learn. The point of is not to claim somebody else's work as your own. If as a professional creative artist you claim someone else as your own, then nobody will work with you. And that moral principle has to be adopted at the beginning. So to take an AI output and or maybe fiddle with it a bit and pretend it's your own, that is pointless. It doesn't help you, and it's a waste of the university's resources. So, but using the AI as someone that challenges, or something, it's not a one, it's something that challenges you, comes up with a new perspective, maybe hallucinates, maybe comes up with something ridiculous, but sometimes something ridiculous can help you get to something that's not ridiculous. So use the AI as a sort of, as a sharp, quite knowledgeable critic. I think that's a very, very useful way of using AI. And in some, in some businesses, like in film production and post-production and editing and translating the script into different languages. In fact, all the way from writing the stories all the way through, AI is already very pervasive. There are about 300 apps that are being used in that way in London. And it's now part of the production process. And students have to learn that.
Great, thanks again. Well, we don't have so much time, and so could you please give to us your final considerations, advice, tips, whatever you like?
I think when I was a student, which is a very, very, very long time ago,
Autor.
it was relatively rare to move into the creative industries as an independent player. One had to join a company, and it's still the case. That's a good way of doing it. But now it's much more possible to work as an independent solo practitioner, solo player, self-employed player. And that is very scary, but it's very, very exciting. And more people are doing that for very good reasons. They not only want to control their output, their creative output, but they want to control their lives. And I work on my own now, by myself, for about 30 years. And I recommend it wholeheartedly because it gives you as I said, the business freedom, the financial freedom, and the creative freedom. And then you get into questions of who your clients and where the money comes from, and so on and so forth. But I would seize that opportunity and only break that principle on one condition, that somebody who you like offers you a job or long-term contract in a company with a lot of very bright people who are better than you. In that case, don't hesitate, go. Take up the offer. Because again, I've learned so much from working with people who are better than me. It's the best way to learn. And so celebrate the freedom, enjoy that, get strong, and then always get close to people, become equal with people who are better than you. It's looking around my own life, looking around other people's lives that I know, that I work with today. That's been their pattern. And I recommend that wholeheartedly.
Okay, thanks a lot. It was a second masterclass today, okay? Please, I will switch for Portuguese just for 1 second. Please wait for our final, okay? Thanks. Bom, pessoal, acho que todos concordam comigo que não podíamos começar o fórum de maneira melhor, né? Com a régua lá no alto, né? Hoje a gente segue com o fórum à noite, presencial e online, no auditório da Belas Artes. Eu espero que todos tenham gostado dessa aula, verdadeira aula, que o professor John nos proporcionou, tá bom? Professor John, thanks a lot again. We are finishing here, and have a nice day in your beautiful day today in London.
Thank you so much. It's been a pleasure meeting you and talking with you. And thank you very much indeed.
Thank you very much,
Thank you.
Professor. Bye-bye.
Thank you. Bye-bye.